Hey, the fellow creators, Ben here from Cinder Studios, and this week I've got a super special interview from a YouTube art channel OG, Merrill Kazanjain, who is from a channel you may or may not know as You Draw. But we're going to talk about a lot of different things here tonight between his early career, what he's doing now, and how he got from art channel stuff to a more multifaceted Renaissance man career. So for this evening, Merrill, thank you for joining me. This is such a pleasure.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be talking art again too. So that's awesome. My new channel, I'm telling you, is a art channel disguised as something else, but we'll leave that for later.
We will absolutely want to get into what you're doing these days, but not without the backstory, I think is very, very important.
Yep.
Um, so, my first question to you is if somebody met you on the street and you want to explain what you do creatively, how would you describe yourself?
I do what my Rice Krispies tell me to do.
That's
It's
your.
the
That's
honest
it's like,
answer.
hi, I'm Merrill. I do what my Rice Krispies tell me to do. That's it.
Pretty much creatively speaking, yes, I go off on so many tangents, but it makes me happy.
Awesome,
you,
man.
you, you get a lot of answers that way, and you wind up sucking at some things and being really good at others that surprise you. And if you think about what genius is very often a one-dimensional definition of somebody. Albert Einstein, if you throw him on a basketball court, guess who's not a genius? Unless if I'm not aware of his basketball skills, but that's the truth. Genius is very often one dimensional, and we tend to stick to stuff that we have an aptitude for. And always in the back of my mind is that Picasso quote about striving to draw like a child. And to me, it's the ultimate statement of saying, like, okay, don't care about what anybody does. If you have an honest question, answer it, go for it. Try to, if you have something unsettled, try to settle it. And that's what I'm all about.
All right, awesome. Um, so we were talking before I started this whole thing, but I kind of backdoored through the about pages on your website for your career and everything. But I wanted to hear from you because I know from what I've read anyway. Didn't really start in art until what a lot of people watching online might say later in life.
Oh yeah.
Um, but what is the first? What would you say is the first time you encountered art, and what was that impact for you in your life?
I think I always wanted to learn how to draw. I was interested, I would be drawing in my notebooks, all the time, and the teachers would be trying to teach me how to take notes, and I would still be drawing in my notebooks. And then, I took classes. I had art in high school, but it was all of the stuff that was not on my mind that I appreciated later. Mixed media. I was like, mixed media? Who the hell wants to glue things? I want to learn how to draw. And now, of course, I've Romer Bearden, one of my all-time favorite artists, Picasso. Like there's so many great multimedia artists, and if you don't work multimedia nowadays, like what's the point? I mean, if you classify yourself, well, I'm a painter. Hmm. Okay, great. But guess what? You could add another dimension to your work if you open your mind a little bit. So, long story short, to answer your question, um, I didn't get the real start until I was in college. I was 20 years old, and I decided to take a painting class. I probably wouldn't have stuck if I took a drawing class. And to this day, my draftsmanship is admittedly mediocre. But what I love about paint is, oh man, you could fake it. You could totally fake it. You could
Absolutely.
edit it. But that led me to another detour in that I would edit it to death. And if you think about the cost effectiveness of that, you listen, you can make art because you love art. And that's really where I'm at right now. But you also, the more that you can build a career out of it, the more time that you're going to get to pursue it. You won't have to get another job. So the time equation is what I always sucked at with art, because I would go OCD on my work, and I would overpaint and overpaint and overpaint. And I even taught that on my YouTube channel. It's a way to fix, yes, but it's also, you have
It's
to
a way to make a
cut the
mess.
madman off. Cut the madman off. That's what you got to do sometimes. So that
Yeah.
was my long-winded answer to your first question.
Yes. I'm gonna have to rework my questions now. The way you're answering them.
Just stop me. Just be like, dude, chill. That's what.
No, you remind me so much of me because you said uh, something about like faking your way through with paint. I've built my art career on doing that, so
Yes,
it's
it's the
totally
beauty of
fine.
paint. It's opaque or it's transparent. It's
Just
something
just
that is
just
so.
just just play with the opacity. You'll figure it out. Just go for it.
Yes,
You
and
can
you can
hide
get
your
lost in that
mistakes
world.
way easier.
Let me turn on a light. Hold on one
Okay.
second. I feel rude being in the dark. So
Well, you've come out of the drawing dark side and become a painter now, so you're in the light side.
there you go.
At least on my
Yep.
channel, anyway. We're all painters here. Um, so yeah, so you really kind of pursued your art more in college, but I want to backstep a little bit since you jumped over that yourself. Um, so you kind of grew up at least a little bit drawing and sketching a little bit on your own terms.
Some would
Was
say
that
sketchy, but yeah.
was that driven by your own nature, or did you have someone in your life to kind of nurture that in you?
My favorite thing when I was a kid was baseball, and my entire belief until I was like about probably in my 20s and playing Division 3 baseball, yeah, was baseball. And then it suddenly hit me. It's like, shoot, dude, you're Division 3, and Division 1 is the top of the food chain there. I don't think the Mets are gonna want you. And it was around that snap moment that I was like, okay, let me get serious about something. And strangely, you find things when you need to look. And basically, I just got a text. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Um, Basically, I it was the perfect thing at the perfect time, and it certainly alarmed my parents because I had a business degree, and I still have a business degree at this time. But it was the right thing, and it taught me how to think. The more that you study art, the more problem solving that you have, more problem solving ability that you have. And what is life? Life is a series of
Problems.
multiple choice questions, problems that you have to creatively solve.
I don't know about that. I mean, I feel like with multiple choice, I have a 1 in 4 chance of getting right, and
Good point.
chances are I'm picking the fifth one, and it's completely wrong most of the time.
What I meant by multiple choice was you have many routes that you can take.
Right. I
Yeah.
gotcha, but still,
Yep.
it's very funny to me how much the teacher in you comes out in your personality.
Yeah.
Just naturally. I don't mean that. I don't mean that negatively, but
No, not
the
taken negatively.
the way you answer your questions really comes out in the teacher mindset, and for leaning that way. Um,
Yep.
so you went for a business degree rather than an art degree, or I guess teaching is kind of where you are now. So how did you go from, I guess, high school student to I don't mean to point out either of our ages here, but uh, feels like a long time ago for I'm sure, but like how did you go from I'm doodling to I have a business, I'm majoring in business to I want to pursue my art, like what is that educational experience for you been like?
Um. So I did.
Without too many long stories, perhaps.
Okay. All right. I'll bullet point it. I did an internship in something that I thought that I would love. Being a big sports fan, getting a internship in Madison Square Garden, that was a big deal. Oh, I
That
couldn't stand that
that is.
at all. I couldn't stand it. It was horrible.
You want the announcer job, but you're not going to get the announcer a job.
I'm too long-winded to be an announcer. So, yeah, I wound up hating that. And I worked at a summer art program. My teacher connected me to a summer art program that he was in charge of, my college professor named Randy Williams. And I just loved teaching. In that class was a graduate student who was looking to start an art program at her school. And she invited me to teach at that program. That's how I started my teaching career.
Interesting. Um, I know teaching degrees are up and down between states, between everything else. So you had a business degree from college. Um, for New York, is it a matter of the certificate or is it the matter of the degree?
You need to get a certification, and
Okay.
in time, in order to get a permanent certification, you need to get a master's degree.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I went into teaching as an uncertified teacher. I worked in the private schools, and they sure pay well. Um, and
And they don't ask questions.
right. And at night, I went to get my master's.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's this is really conflicting to all the notes I've taken. um, so the notes from the biography on your website and old YouTube channel thing says you started really drawing when you were about 20.
Correct.
Um, so was 20 the business degree era? I assume it
Yeah.
was because that's the undergrad thing. But
Yeah.
like
You're
where's
finishing college like at 21, and I was 20, and I went to a liberal arts college, and you have to take either a music class or an art class. And at that time, I felt that I had a better chance with the art class.
because well I would say that you've built up the doodling through middle and high school I imagine. So it's
Note
like
taking,
art class,
absolutely.
sure. Um,
Yeah.
I remember being in college letting somebody borrow my notes, and they're like, they saw my margins, and they're like, "You're the doodle master," and I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm a C student because of course I am.
We solve problems differently.
Right. Um, so I guess I'm confused in my questioning now because it's like so somewhere between the business degree, the interest in art, the push because I know at some point you then went back to school and majored in like painting or something. I don't know what that story is, so I'm gonna leave it up to you to rant about this because I don't know what this is the gap between your interest in art and your
I couldn't
YouTube
get out of the
and,
studio.
and your YouTube career that whole gap I don't know. So tell your
I
story, man. I
I
want to know
couldn't
this one.
I couldn't get out of the studio. That's the honest answer. I had a business degree, or I was like a few credits away from a business degree. And here I was taking the art class, and
Loving
I
it.
had a thesis to write, and I was like done with the thesis. I was like, no, bring me to the studio. I was spending day and night in the studio like a madman. And it was the first time I came to the conclusion it was the first time that I really pushed myself at anything academically. And art was the needed ingredient in my life. Um, the structure of that class was perfect in that it was painting because you can edit over your drawing inabilities and
Just
be really
make it a
persistent.
tree. Make it a tree.
Right. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I was, hot and cold with business. So, you could take with you a lot of what you learned in business, apply it later on. And I have. And you can also keep your mind open to new things. And really, like the liberal arts from my school, Manhattanville, I'm always thankful that I went to a liberal arts school because it really gave me that opportunity.
For sure, yeah. I think that's what my college experience was very mixed between community and liberal arts schools. Um, But I will say that one thing about liberal arts schools, say what you want about their degree programs, it definitely varies between school to school, but um, the experience you get in just that multimedia is really something that I think builds better careers than a degree program probably does. That's more specific to things, but that's probably more my opinion and experience. But it sounds like you experienced definitely a similar path of being able to dabble in a lot more things.
It's all connected. If there's anything that I've learned, it's that no matter what career that you do, there is just these tentacles that reach out in the different disciplines, and they're connected somehow. They really are.
Yeah. So you fell in love with the studio time and really developing your artistic sense that way. Um, uh, so forgive me, I'm lacking knowledge in your life in this sense. But so you have a business degree. Did you finish a master's? Was it teaching? Was it art? Like what did you end up with throughout the course of exploring all of this?
Masters in art, and I later, when my kids were born, I went back and studied special education.
Okay. Yeah, I think that kind of overlaps into to where the two of us kind of met and came together.
And now I'm a director data scientist at a school.
I have no idea what that means, but I'll ask later.
I'm being kicked out. Hold on one second. I gotta move.
Sometime between finishing college stuff, moving into teaching, you decided to start a YouTube channel. My question is why? Because of the creators of our era when we started, I think that's a different answer for all of us. Also, between the art and the teaching degree, two questions here between the leaning towards the YouTube stuff. Uh, I think you were an art teacher for a while, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
That's why I started the YouTube channel.
okay, so I guess question if not a question. So between becoming an art teacher, what made you want to start a YouTube channel as an art teacher?
Because kids would rush through their work. So, people work at different paces. And the number one rule of teaching is always be ready with resources. And oh my God, I can't stand it when teachers, they give like a color by number sheet or something like that. Hell no, we can do better. So we started making videos. And the first video that I made, no, it wasn't the first video that I made. The first video that kind of took off, it was like 2008. Barack Obama had just become president, and I did a step by step on how to draw Obama. And I checked back and I was like, oh my God, that's got like 10,000 views or whatever it had at the time. And people started subscribing. And I was like, okay, that's a formula that people are interested in. So I did all of these step by step videos on how to draw people.
Yeah, it's something that I find that you're really good at is capturing a likeness of a person, which a lot of people that draw figures really struggle with. Um, so we'll get back to the business side of this a little bit, but I do want to interject with this because it's like I as someone who is at his core very against drawing figures, um, against for various reasons, but uh, how do you break down the likeness of a face in the way that you do? Because I mean, again, like it's different for, I think it's different for every artist, but you're able to really be able to capture the essence of a person in a way that I rarely see with other portrait artists.
My videos and the way that I capture likenesses, it's both of them are like Blues Clues. They're very formulaic. You know there's going to be three clues, and whoever the host of Blues Clues is, they're going to be like, oh, it's a clue. Blah blah. Blah. It was the same darn thing, but it taught it very well to the point that I was able to teach kindergartners this way. I taught, K through 12 at different points. And, I'm sorry, my kindergartners were ninjas. Um, Long story short, the secret is to break things down into shapes, and the anatomy of the face and the shadows that light can give breaks down the face. And you also need to know a little bit about the structure of the face, the formulas that were there. Like, for instance, little tip is, if you go one corner of the eye to the other corner, you should be able to fit this perfectly right in between your eyes
The
for
three eye
spacing.
thing, yeah.
The three eye thing, exactly.
It's what
You take
bugs me
the
is I know the rules, I just
right.
can't do it.
Um,
But I also haven't put in the practice to be able to do it. So, yeah.
or do you question your hand too much?
Oh, that is a question right there. I mean,
I've stopped.
I'm constantly playing with the four joints to know where I need to manipulate that. So yeah,
That's the thing. I've stopped questioning, and I've actually been very productive as an artist. As a visual artist, since I don't want to say leaving YouTube. I've always intended to go back. I mean,
sure,
nobody will remember me when I come back, but it's all good. You
yeah,
got to go with what inspires you.
for sure. So I wanna get there. I feel like you're 10 steps ahead of me with your answers, so forgive me for a second. I'll lean back through things. Um, so
I'm
I
honored you wrote down questions.
well, I mean, I was half willing to. I spent my lunch break today going down questions because I forgot to do this last week. Um,
If you forget anything, you just call me back. Don't worry.
of course, yeah. I like to have it self-contained. That's all.
Hmm.
um, so I guess since we're leaning through the YouTube and going through, I guess you wanting to build a supplementary education to your students through the YouTube
Correct.
videos.
That's what started the YouTube.
Yeah, I I think that's where my last question was. Like how did it start? Was that um, and like all of us from that era? It's like me, you. I'll get into other question for later, but you built a community out of a lot of us that were doing the same thing, but in a totally different realm. But before I get there, um, your pursuit of painting through late college into the YouTube stuff was very much realism focused. And at some point, you made a jump from doing the likenesses of the characters to doing the how to draw stuff to creating your own characters yourself. And that's something that I really admire about you is that you can come up with a whole character out basically to me it seems out of nothing. Um, but again, I'm speculating perhaps. But and this is something I, from what I understand, has created the narrative throughout your work. So I guess the question of it is, what led you from the rigorousness of oil painting and traditional art into the multimedia facet of creating characters and creating the narrative that you do for your work?
This is going to be a really long answer. Two
Well,
syllables.
that was a long question.
Burnout.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you reach a point in the process where it's like, okay, you did something good there. Are you having fun doing that? Can you replicate that at will? And do you enjoy the process? I enjoyed the process getting there.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy the process maintaining that level.
Mhm.
So I changed the process. And that's when I started bringing in cutouts to my work, and later on manipulating it on the computer and going to digital, meaning part traditional art and part digital art. And that's what I still do to this day.
Yeah, it's I think I follow a similar path, but probably still leaning more traditional because I've leaned to the gallery side of things versus the digital side of things, but that's my own career. Uh, but I like that idea of burnout being the
Hmm.
catalyst. Um, because I think for a lot of artists, that's the thing. If you reach a point where you're almost stagnating in your own routine. And it's I've noticed it with myself. Like I get to the point where I'm like I'm doing the same paintings over and over again. It's like I gotta switch it up. I gotta change it. Um, so I guess question not question, but uh, it, I guess that it is like is the creating the characters a way to keep yourself from stagnating.
It was. Um, it's something that you can always change the process. I get bored very easily, and it's a miracle that I made God knows how many videos on my art channel, the same process. Um, but I want to try new things. Like the experience of getting into art, it gave me all sorts of confidence with other things. If I learned to be an artist at 20, okay, I could apply that with other things, and I did. Um, with other things, career wise and personal interest wise. Um, I don't want to stagnate. If it gets boring, somebody supposedly said to Da Vinci, like, "What's your greatest regret?" I doubt that he said this, but he said that I wish I made more paintings. Bullshit. Bullshit. No, he was all over the place. He tried a number of different things, and he was able to speak on a number of different things. And he had that inquisitive mind. And I'm not quite Da Vinci. I'm not trying to compare myself to that,
No, for
but
sure.
that's what I strive to. Like it's important and it's honest. You go for what you are wired to go for at the moment. Otherwise, your work is going to be poop. It is.
It's my channel.
If
It's
you're
my channel. You can say shit. It's okay.
if you're I'm so used to being a teacher, man. You just
Yeah, it's okay.
you G-rate it. Yeah, I know. Um, no, if you here's the number one thing about teaching. If you're bored with it, guess who else is going to be bored?
Everyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's something I've oddly enough learned from doing YouTube on and off in 10 years. Is like it's really easy to if you're interested, great. I love the term. I don't know where it originated, but it's, if you're interested, you're interesting.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like it still has to be interesting to other people. And I think
There's got to be a market for it, I
right,
suppose. Yes.
yeah, and I think that's where your business degree really cuts in, is because you understand how to market that into a thing. Um,
Somewhat.
Maybe subconsciously and everything, and between I think this is what I was trying to get to it before, but so at some point you decided I don't know if it was you that decided it. Might have been I can't remember. It's too far back. Something about the YouTube uh, art category, uh, and trying to build that community, and you did in a way that to this day I'm trying to understand how you pulled this off. Maybe it was an accident. I don't know, but um, you pulled together artists and built a community out of really a lot of just splinter channels. And part of why I'm doing what I am doing here on YouTube today is because of you. So
Thank you.
first of all thank you, because if it wasn't for YouTube trying to do something 10 years ahead of its time with Hangouts, and now Zoom does it on the fly, but whatever. But um, you curated a community, at least personally for me, when I needed it, and I think when a lot of other artists needed it.
Wow, man.
To
Thank you.
reconnect with that group of people now is incredible, and to be to sit with you tonight is really incredible. But
Thanks, buddy.
I'm curious how much of that was intentional and how much of that just came out of a moment in time.
I think it was pretty intentional because the way that I look at YouTube, I look at it as the museum of the day. I still think it's the museum of the day. There's more museums that have popped up, no doubt about it. But in terms of being a time capsule for the early 21st century to today, because it's still very much relevant, um, arguably more relevant. I think that the cutting edge art, although it might not be defined as art, is happening on YouTube. It's happening in video. And I think that there was just so much that you could go to one place and learn from. It's a museum and it's a school. And that's where the push for arts, for YouTube to like recognize that. And I really wish that they did, and I think that they should. I just don't think that they understood. I don't think they gave me the time to like really. They might have like read an email, but they didn't quite calculate what I was trying to say. I did make videos about this, and I tried to send this to them, and we petitioned, and we got a crap load of signatures.
Yeah, really.
Um, yeah.
I think I found you because I think Mark Crilly picked up on it at some point.
Yes, collaborated with Crilly on that one.
That's
Yep.
that still blows my mind because he is still up in the air now because like my thing is now like everybody and their sister has an art channel on YouTube now, for better or worse. But he was like one of the top three at the time.
Yep.
And it like that to me was incredible that you had that kind of reach, with that kind of movement. And again, like this is a sign of the times of how much things have changed. But I think in a lot of ways, whether you know it or not, was probably a direct influence from those hangout days because of how it splintered into everyone doing hangouts and live shows and things. Some of the artists from that era I keep in touch with, and it's that level of building a community within your work, which I think is very much that internet digital presence of how you present yourself as an artist, and not to keep stroking your ego or anything, but I think you were really a pioneer in that.
Thanks, buddy.
In such a way that you built a community now to where a lot of the artists that are coming onto YouTube now don't understand that significance. Because what we were doing back then was so different to what people are doing now and to what the technology is allowing people to do now. Like the Google Plus Hangout thing was such a new concept of like creators and collaborators coming together, and like now that's what everybody did last year. But I still remember those days of like everybody coming together and drawing together and having the chat going, and like that was it was a medium before its time, for sure.
No, it was good times. It was really good times.
So part of the era from when that plateaued and tapered off in a lot of ways. Sometime between the height of Google Plus and the drop off of monetization. I know that you started a family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where you more or less disappeared from your channel.
Yeah, that was part of it because of the time, and yeah, there were other reasons. I went through
Yeah,
a little bit of a dark period too. I lost my mom. She had
oh wow.
Lou Gehrig's disease, and it was really tough to see her go downhill. We also lost a baby. That not a lot of people know that, and before a birth, but still, it's when
Yeah.
you go through it, it's traumatizing. And having little people and having big responsibilities at school, um, I somehow rose, became a director I mean, I'm a director in my second school right now. And, um, it became, and I went away from the art teaching. Like I made these videos when I taught art, and, it was something that I would use in the classroom. And when wasn't in that classroom, it just became a little bit more extra work to do. And they're going to be there. They're there, and anybody could use them to this day. Um, so I departed for a little bit, and I guess reemerged in 2019, but on a different channel.
Yeah. So I want to.
I know you don't like that.
No,
I
no,
appreciate
no.
it. I
We're
appreciate
yeah,
you.
we're getting there. Don't worry about it.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes, yes,
don't get too ahead of ourselves here.
yes.
Um, so my question in all of this is, so you had to leave behind the passion project in a lot of ways, um, to pursue family, to pursue career. I put the emphasis on family because I remember a couple of the last Google Plus
Live
Hangouts.
streams.
You were in the basement. And you had to go up and down to like care for the baby and or something. Um, and I know that was taking up your time and weird now because those kids are like what 10, 8, 10,
Huge.
12.
Yep.
Been a long time, but I'm curious what that balance was for you that became because I know as a creator you had to have had an outlet somewhere.
Yeah.
So in those eras of focusing on career and focusing on family, like what did you do creatively, even if you weren't making and posting stuff for other people online? Like what did you do as a creator to keep yourself balanced?
Well, that was part
Or
of the
was that much
problem
a struggle?
because people would look at people would consume the videos that I did the tutorials on, and when I was out of the classroom, it didn't apply anymore, and I was doing all of this, let alone the commute. I've always had a really rough commute to work. Very often, it's 2 hours per direction, and 4 hours per day doing that. And
That's
you talk about an outlet. I'm talking about survival here.
yeah. Okay.
So you sketch when you can, you create when you're inspired, you rest when you need to.
So managing family life and onset of kids and career.
There's different times in life that you can create or survive. The focus is on creation or survival. Like if you're in the middle of running or recovering, like creation is not, it's not the season for creation. And
Season for all things, right?
exactly.
Um,
What I'm hoping for is to have a very prolific next few decades of life. That's what I can only hope for.
yeah, for sure. I think it's between the two of us, difference between having a family to support or not. In my case, um, but it changes your perspective on what's important in life, for sure.
Yep.
But I do want to go back to the idea of prioritizing and the idea of like come like go to work, come home, take like feed your family, come home, go to sleep, kind of thing. Like where do you fit art and all of that? And that's something I've struggled with a lot in the past. I would say year and a half, 2 years for sure. Um, so I guess the thing was at least where we were going with it. So at some point you picked up a new hobby, uh, which if memory serves was a cross your fingers, let's go to Hawaii kind of thing. Um, of can I rack up enough money, but you picked up a metal detector and then went to town with it. Um,
It's therapy. It is therapeutic. It's a beautiful thing. You see, that's the thing. What you remember the painting of Van Gogh with his ear chopped off? You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there.
you
You
you don't want to
create
see
what
the
you're
ear, you want to see the painting.
right, right. But yeah, there's also and school has taught me this too. Being in schools, every person needs to focus on self-care and the activities that really unwind them. Now, being creative, yeah, a lot of people like, oh, art is so relaxing. Bullshit.
No, it's work. It's work, and it's work on top of work.
If you are self-critical, which all great artists are,
Hmm.
and you're striving, you're pushing yourself to go further, it's very much like athletics. It's very much like athletics. Or athletics is very much like art. Like it can really wear you down. And I think in order to balance that, you need activities that unwind you. And I'm telling you, man, I knew it the first time I had it in my hand. Metal detector goes in my hand, finding stuff. Oh my
Everything goes
God, this
away.
is zen. This is
Yeah.
beautiful. Yep.
When I when I'm really in a good like painting session, that's where my mind goes. Like everything else goes away. But 9 times out of 10, it's really hard for me to get myself started to even do that. Which I think you probably get for the artistic stuff, and maybe even for the metal detecting stuff. I'm not sure, but I think we're all creative. Like getting started is like it's such a barrier sometimes.
Never with me. Like if it's the one activity that I could just like, I'm gonna peace out. I'm gonna walk out the door. I'm gonna go right now, and it's awesome. And it's funny, there's a social psychology to it. You feel like a total dork. There's no doubt about it. And it's like, who brought the
Yeah.
cool guy with the detector? But
My it's my uncle. My uncle got one like 10 years ago, but he used it exclusively on the beach. Which I mean, it's a place to do it, but the stuff that you're finding in like what Central Park is crazy.
yeah, we can't detect Central Park. That's the one that's like totally off limits.
That's right,
But
because it's historical stuff and the city
right,
makes claims, but everything else.
yeah, no, we've found coins that are almost 400 years old. Colonial coins that like predate America, platinum rings, diamond, gold rings. It's lots of junk too, but it's very much. Maybe I'm the only one who feels this. It's just like art. It's just like art. It really is.
I wanted to actually want to dip into this because it's something I through your about pages I've read. Sorry if that sounds like a cop out to anyone watching, but uh, something I saw that actually really caught my attention was you feel that metal detecting merges teaching, history, and art in such a way for you that it's like the perfect storm. Um, and I totally get that because I definitely have an interest in history. I totally have an interest in art. That's why I'm still doing this. Um, but the way that all of your experiences have come together between business degree college stuff, between teaching stuff, between like I didn't know there was a metal detecting community on YouTube, but apparently there is. um, you have once again, from what you did 10 years ago with us in the art community to what you're doing now in like building your new YouTube channel, new, new. But you've done the same thing all over again in finding a community, finding an interest through your own things in such a way, and it's still confused by it, but um, I want to hear about your about how much all of this culmination of art and history and all of your interests has come together through metal detecting and finding old coins and everything. Because that to me is actually really fascinating.
What's art, Ben?
Uh, not the time to ask me because I'll talk for 20 minutes about it.
It is the output of a person's life. It's different than legacy. It is the creative, tangible, intangible output of a person's life to me. We just discussed how there are obligations in life. Some are wonderful, like parenthood, that take up a lot of time, commuting to work, doing the work that you do. The honest byproduct of my life right now, other than what's accomplished at work, hopefully reaching the lives of many people, is how I recover from the intensity of what I do. And with creativity, for instance, we haven't gotten into this yet, but I know you know it. I started rapping.
Oh yes.
I started painting at 20. I started rapping at 40. It just felt natural. And, if you think about like assemblage art, if you think about Joseph Cornell, shadow boxes, man, I got the perfect stuff for that. And, it takes me from one question to another. Metal detecting does. And there's so many curiosities that I have. And it's none of them have been exhausted. It's a process that re-energizes me instead of exhausts me. When I painted, I exhausted myself. When I metal detect, I recover. And don't get me wrong, I still have a way, it's the way that I'm wired to put pressure on myself to, to do something great. But it's a different feeling. So to me, it's the honest, natural art is the honest, natural output of a person's life. And this is what I need to do right now. Because if I strived as a painter right now while being a parent of two and while being on leadership in a school, still with a long commute, um, I probably wouldn't be as sane as I am right now.
I hear that.
I say that with the caveat. I mean, we're talking sane, but we're also talking
Yeah.
somebody who started rapping, at the golden age of 40.
I'll
So,
honestly say that rapping is musical mixed media.
hell yeah, it
It
is.
is yeah, like you like between like your YouTube channel, your art YouTube channel was a mixed media thing. Your metal detecting is you convulsing your interests in a mixed media, and the rapping is musical mixed media. So you're
I don't know if you've seen Barry. Barry is performance art.
I
You got to see Barry.
I'll try. I'll
He's
try
my
to.
every rapper needs an alter ego, okay? Barry
um,
is my rap alter ego. You're
sure.
blushing.
Well. I mean,
It's like, what do you say to that? I know, I
I
know,
know
I know.
you're a dad in his 40s rapping. What do I
Yes,
say to that?
yes. And you're forgetting with the metal detector in his hand too.
It's right. You're the. I feel so sorry for your kids.
Alpha dork. Oh my god! But they are wired just like me. They
They're like,
one
oh my
thing
god, it's my dad. He's metal detecting. He's rapping in the corner. I don't know.
I got to give them credit though. They're really just like me. They'll try anything, and they will just be able to say, "Okay, screw it. Like I'm strong enough to, carry on,
Yeah.
even if I get
Be
criticism."
be passionate about what you're passionate about,
Right.
and just
And
go
don't.
for it.
Yeah, people will see honesty and people will respect it, even if it is different than the norm.
For sure. Um, so I kind of want to lean in towards the wind down, I suppose. Um, some time ago, when you were talking about college and everything, you mentioned can I even yeah, Randy Williams, a guy that
Yep.
kind of puts you in the right direction. I want to talk about mentors in a lot of ways
Yep.
because if this sounds too much of a cop out, I'm sorry, but in terms of YouTube, in terms of my art career, you have been that for me in a lot of ways.
Thanks, buddy. I'm so honored. I'm
Um,
so honored.
but it sounds like you definitely had a few people in your life that have pointed you in the right direction.
Oh, sure.
Specifically, Randy Williams, who I wrote down because you dropped the name, but it was like it sounded like he made a huge impact in you in your life.
Best
Um,
teacher I ever had, by far.
like
And he did it in a very mixed media way. Like he knew who to connect me to at different points in my life. And I'm always thankful. Like I evolved as an artist along the lines. One was a rigid painter. One was a mixed media out there. In person. And I worked at a program called New York State Summer School of the Arts for 6 years, and that was very formative. That was something that really built my mentality in that the art that we're going to be defining 20 years from now, we have no clue, what direction that, it's going to be taken. You want a photo bomb really quick?
do it, do it.
Quick. Photo bomb. We were just, look, he's huge.
Hey! Wow,
Hey, we're
is
talking
he
about my
one?
art channel. This is my friend Ben. Huh?
Is he number one?
This is number one. Yes,
Oh man, he was the baby you were walking up the stairs with.
that's right. That's right. He knew
Oh
you were the
man.
baby. So, could you
Oh.
could you could you get Gabby? Sis, sis is probably outside. Tell your sister to come down.
Yeah, wow. Blast from the past.
Yep.
Really. Um, but yeah, so I mean, finding a mentor in a lot of ways, and it sounds like you've definitely had a few to push yourself along.
Mentors and thought partners. Like it's really important to have a thought partner. Um, just to bounce creative ideas off of. Oh, and here's the younger one.
Hi,
It's
Gabby. She
Gabby.
can't hear
Here, let
me,
me take
but hi.
the headphones out. This is
Okay.
Ben. I've known Ben for a long time, since I had my art channel. You were very little when I had my art channel. I'd say you were 3. I probably stopped when you were. No, I probably stopped a little bit earlier. 2. Mm-hmm.
2, 3.
She's an excellent artist.
Yeah, keep doing it. Create. Do it.
And she's even rapped with me sometimes.
Wow. Okay. She'll be embarrassed in high school, I'm sure.
You're not going to be embarrassed in high school. See, you heard that? Say that
No.
again, loud and proud.
I don't care if I'm embarrassed.
That a girl.
Yeah, keep that
That's what it's all
attitude
about.
for
That's what it's
sure.
all about. We do what we're interested in, even if people think we're dorks.
You're an amazing teacher, amazing parent, and amazing mentor.
Thanks,
Thank you.
buddy. Thank you so much.
Um,
Thanks, Gabber.
um,
She says good night, she says.
all right. Good night, Gabby. Um, so, um, I think a good we've passed along a lot of nuggets of advice, I think, between us this evening. But I know a lot of the people that watch my channel are lean towards the beginner side of things. Whether that be they're later in life, younger in life, whatever. I know that's where I garner a lot of attention. So for anyone watching, if you have any advice to a young artist of uh, age or skill level, I'm curious what your advice to them would be.
Good question. I would say you can't force things, and you have to listen to yourself honestly, and you have to be open to change, and you have to embrace change. And it might take you in some wild directions over the course of your life, but the important thing is you get stuff answered. When you get stuff answered, you usually wind up growing. If you stay with something for the reason that it, I swear, some people that call themselves painters, it made me a little bit frustrated. I get it, but you don't let artists become an identity. A lot of people, I could be judging and I could be wrong, but I can't help but feel a lot of people, it's that identity instead of the honest pursuit. And it's really about the honest pursuit. So, uh, whatever your curiosity is, even if it's not something that's called art, art is the output of your life, tangible and intangible. And sometimes it is, sometimes you go through prolific periods where you're producing stuff that will last forever. Sometimes you are absorbing, learning, and you will need that for your next prolific period.
You are a wise dude.
I read all that in a fortune cookie.
All right. Well, that actually leans, I think, through the bulk of my questions for you this evening. Um, so, for those watching, if you have anything you want to plug at this point, current projects, past projects, anything of where they can find you online,
Yeah,
let people know
nowadays,
who you are and where they can see your stuff.
my name is Merrill Kazanjain. I don't want to call it an old YouTube channel because I do plan on coming back one of these days when everybody's going to be like, "Who the fluff is this?" Is you draw, or you could type in my name, Merrill Kazanjian. Right now, my channel, which is really an art channel, it's called Metal Detecting NYC, and yeah, we rap and we look for treasure, and it's so much more than that. I just made that sound so terribly boring, but
You are a modern Renaissance man, dude.
I try. I go by you. The first question you asked me, I remember I said I do what my Rice Krispies tell me to do, and
Rice
really
Krispies, fortune cookies,
that's
alphabet
the honest
soup.
answer. I don't hold back. I don't care about um, when you try something new, you're going to be terrible at it. That's okay. Don't worry about the giddiness, the awkwardness. If you could stand with a metal detector in public with a smile on your face, that is personal freaking growth. Okay. Let's put it that way. And I've become that person. And people read that on me. And I'm the guy that everybody comes over. Hey, I've always wanted to try that. Can you give me advice on blah, blah, blah? And that's fine. And I don't mind that at all. So,
It's awesome, man. So we will link all of your stuff in the description box below. Merrill, thank you for talking with me tonight. This has been probably one of the most entertaining interviews I've had in a long time.
thanks,
Uh,
buddy.
but so yeah, thanks for talking with me. This has been fantastic. I will link all your stuff in the description box below. Uh, Again, guys, this guy Merrill Kazanjian, he is the reason why you see live stuff for me still on YouTube today. Um, didn't know it at the time. Didn't realize how much of an impact this guy would have had in my life. But man, like from what he's doing now to what he did in the past, check out his stuff. Well worth your time for sure. Especially if you just want to find a blog about a guy metal detecting and rapping in New York City, I guess. Um,
I'm really honored by that, and I would like to we brought up my mentor, the guy who really set me in motion, Randy Williams, and he said that the ultimate I remember everything that he said. Very few people. Usually it goes in one ear and out the other. Never the case with Randy. Basically, he said that the ultimate art that a person can do is teaching, because it's reconnecting, it's rewiring the brain. And I'm absolutely honored that you say that, because you just proved, even if it's one person, to be able to, to have something resonate. So I thank you, Ben. Like
No
it's
problem.
cool, and thank you for passing it on, man.
Of course. So for anyone watching, thanks for checking this out. Get subscribed if you're not already. Hit the like button. Helps everybody's out. Check me out in socials in the description box below. And this has been from Cinder Studios. Keep on creating, and I will see you guys next time.